Inventory is up 37%, okay? You would think the sales would go up, but what happened? The sales are down 15%. Holy cow. And what about the pendings? How many are active under contract right now? Did that number go up or down? I'm going to tell you. Also, I'm going to answer all these other questions tonight. Some of the questions I'll be answering is, what is the current active listings? How many sold in the last 7 days? How many homes are under contract? How many new homes sold in the last 7 days? What is the current active new home listings? How many active listings are foreclosures? How did people pay for these homes? What percentage of homes sold are under list or sold under list, at list, and above list, and much, much more. Man, you're going to get so much information tonight. Hey, you know what? My name's Tom Kerr. I'm just a regular guy who happens to be a real estate agent up here in North Florida. And every week I take you into the back end of my MLS account to look at these real numbers in real estate. Hey, you know what? I'm the host of this show, Bubble Watch, and we're in season 2, week 44, where I've been doing this and I show these real numbers to you. So let's get started right now in the back of that MLS and start off with those active listings. Okay, here we are in the back end of the Northeast Florida MLS, okay? And we're going to go over here, click on the actives and see what we've got. Currently, there's 7,759 active listings. Folks, that is your inventory up here. Next, we'll take a look how many homes sold in the last 7 days. We go 7 days back since this is a weekly show. Amount of total homes sold in the last 7 days is 462. Okay, we'll take a look now. How many of those are active under contract? And this is with contingencies, like repair contingencies, appraisals, and so forth. Okay, that number is 1,386. Next, I take a look at how many homes went pending in the last 7 days. They went out of the contingency status and they're in pending, but they're under contract. That number is 413. When you add up the ones that went pending plus the ones that are active under contract, that gives you your total that are under contract currently up here in Northeast Florida. Next, let's take a look and see how many people withdrew their listings in this last week. That number is 71. They are still active listings. They are just not able to be shown. Next, we look at expired. How many listings expired in the last 7 days? That number is 130. That's the homes that did not sell and they are off the market. No one put in the price they wanted. Okay, next we're going to take a look at new homes and see how many new homes sold in the last 7 days. That number is 84. Next thing we're going to look at is how many new homes are in the active inventory. Out of the active inventory, how many of them are new construction homes? And that number is 1,924. Okay, the next thing I look at is we look at active listings that are in the status of foreclosures, okay? Now, it's not just foreclosures we look at what's in pre-foreclosure, short sales, and foreclosure. So if we're going to start off with those that are foreclosures. That number is 277. Okay, next I'm going to look at what's in pre-foreclosure status. That number is 17, and next we're going to look at short sales. And that number is 20. All right, I take all that data now, I export it, and it's into an Excel spreadsheet, which is kind of messy because it's a lot of information. It's more than just what I just went over right there. That was real quick there. I got a lot of it, and then what I do is I kind of clean it up into an Excel spreadsheet that I created to make it a little bit easier to follow along and look at, and we're going to look at that. While all those numbers are crunching and everything and dealing, let's see what those scary interest rates did, because last week we were on a downward trend. What happened this week? All right, here we are, Mortgage News Daily, looking at the 30-year fixed rate. Last week we left at 6.92. We're on that downward trend, and red arrows, okay? Now we're at 7.02. We broke the 7 again, going in the wrong direction, okay? And it's probably because the inflation is still up. All right, let's take a look and see what those FHA rates are, because they're generally a little bit less. The FHA last week was 6.5, same couple green arrows down. We were going down, up, all those red arrows up, but we still ended up at 6.5. That's because the green arrow going down that second time was pretty significant enough to absorb some of that. All right, let's look at those VA rates. VA rates, same thing, 2 down, 1 stabilized. We were at 6.51, now we're 6.52. So basically they stayed the same versus a week ago, although you had those fluctuations going up, okay? Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is I look at a chart, or a series of charts, that we track the single family homes here in Jacksonville. Now these are just Jacksonville, so it's like Duval County for the most part. Okay, and that's just how this report comes out. So I've been doing it now, for almost 2 years, so I'm not changing it. All right, what we look at is the price per square foot. We look at the inventory, look at the median price, and look at the days on the market. That price per square foot has been flat for about 9 weeks. Okay, we're waiting to see, is it going to tick up? Is it going to tick down? That'll give us an idea where this market's going to go. So let's see what happened. All right, here we are, price per square foot, and it is still flat. Okay, flat out. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks. That's the most it's been like that, all right? When you take a look at, I mean, we're just waiting for some direction. Are we going to stay here? When's it going up or down, okay? Look at the 1 year back, and you can see, when you look at it 1 year, how fast everything went up, but it ain't going down like that. It's stalled, okay? And then just, the 3 year, just gives you an idea of how fast everything went up over that time. And we had a little dip, there back in like around May and all in the summer of 2023, but man, it just flattened out, isn't going anywhere. All right, let's look at that inventory. All right, now this is kind of a strange thing because we've been seeing inventories going up, right? And the inventory, just like I said at the beginning of the show, inventory's up. So you look at this chart and you're saying, wait a minute, this contradicts what you said at the beginning. Well, remember, this is single family homes in Jacksonville only, okay? Where I'm going into the whole Northeast Florida MLS, so there's a lot more. But for some reason, Jacksonville themselves, the inventory has dropped some, okay? When you look at 1 year back, you see, it really rose there, quite rapidly here since the summer, of last year, but it's just kind of stayed there, okay? So it really hasn't dropped much, okay? And then, of course, the 3 year really shows you, the difference. All right, next let's look at that median price. Okay, that median price, it looks like it's starting to wiggle up, all right? You see, we were sloping down there for a while, for all the way here from October of last year is when it started dipping down. That's when a lot of the people that want to see these prices crash were cheering. But you know what? They may have took the popcorn out too early because look at right here what happened, okay? This year it's flattened out and it's actually made a turn up. Now there's a lot of people that say where the worst is coming, this is the calm before a storm. We'll see. That's why I track this every week. 1 year back, we take a look and you see how those prices, went up. Then they started falling, but again, not dropping like at the rate that they went up. And then when you look at 3 years, you see that crazy hump that happened, around September of 2022 when the prices really went up. Started dropping during 2023, but then we started creeping back up again the end of last year. All right, let's take a look at those days on the market. All right, here we are, days on the market. It was really climbing and climbing, okay? We were at a bottom there at the end of last year where, it just flattened out. It was the lowest amount of days on the market. Then it just shot up, okay? Creeping up all this year. And then now it kind of flattened off here in February and actually has dropped a little bit here in March. So the days on the market are starting to come down a little bit. Well, what happens, what brings that down? A lot of times multiple offers, okay? And we'll talk about that too tonight. Okay, now it's time to look at those Excel spreadsheets and put all this other data together and start answering all these other questions. So let's get to those numbers. Okay, here we are in my Excel spreadsheet, and for those of you, we got a lot of new people here on the program. Right here you see in yellow are the current weeks that we do. We're in week 44. You see the other one was week 43. Now right next to it in white is last year's week 44 at this time, and then the YOY, I show the percentage of year-over-year differences. Okay, so let's start off. We have 7,759 for an inventory. That's up from last week, but way down, way up from last year. As you see the inventory there, that's where that 37%. Our inventory is up 37% from this time last year. And these are the real numbers I take from this sheet. In fact, those of you that aren't familiar with the show, just look. All these numbers, every week I do the same thing. I've been putting these numbers in. See, I track them just like this. And then all I do is I just go back to the first season, and then I just grab that week and then copy and paste it and put it over here to the next, and then it calculates out our year over year. All right, home sales this last week, 462. As you can see, that is down from last week by 15%. It's also down from, last year that was. It's also down from last week. Okay, now last week at that time, and it's like, well, that's funny. It was 462, week 43 of last year. That's funny how those numbers sometimes come up the same. All right, next we're looking at active under contract, 1,386, okay? That part is a 50% increase from last year, but the pending went down, was a drop of 42%, okay? 413 pending, okay? But the big thing is the total under contract, 1,799, and I do believe this is the largest amount total under contract since I've been doing the show, or pretty close to it. I don't know if we've ever gone over 1,800 total. All right, now the thing is, those pendings, okay? Just because they're in pending doesn't mean they're going to close, I can tell you like maybe 20% of the deals don't close, okay? So that's what affects those solds that we see, but we still keep a look at these pendings because it gives you an idea how many people are out there under these current prices and these current interest rates putting offers on houses. Usually what happens is it's not often that it's the inspection that causes the problem. It's usually people's financing falls through at the end. All right, next we're going to look at the withdrawals there, 71, okay, about the same as the last couple of weeks. Expired 130, that kind of fluctuates up and down, depends on the inventory out there, and also, the price the people are asking for the houses. New homes sold dropped. We're on this dropping trend. With you can see there we were 179 in week 42, now 101 and 84. But the total home sales has dropped also. So we are down 20% from where we were this time last year. The inventory, now it's gone up not as much as the overall inventory, but just the new homes themselves, their inventory is up 16% from last year. We're at 1,924, and that's a high, I think, right now for us. Here we got the percentage of homes sold that are new. As you can see, that stayed about the same, almost exactly the same as last week, 18%, so almost 20%, 1/5 of the homes sold are new construction homes. All right, next I take a quick look at the condo situation. All right, now we're here, active condo sales. Okay, out of all the homes sold, I pull out just the condos. As you can see, 949 are active. That's the inventory. So you see that inventory has been gradually going up too, and this is Northeast Florida. Condo sales, okay, 26. Okay, last week was 43. The percentage of actives that are condos, so the percentage of those active listings that are condos, 12%. So it's slightly up, well, 12.23, so it's slightly up a little bit more than that. Now, because so many people have been wanting to watch this condo situation, because it's happening, I do have a spin-off show, and it's called Bubble Watch condo edition, and it comes out on Monday nights, okay, at the same time. All right, so I go into more depth of the condos, like all these numbers here I break down in condos and a little bit more, okay? So if you're interested in what's going on with the condo situation here in Northeast Florida, then watch that show on Monday nights at 6:30. All right, let's look at some more numbers. All right, here we look and see how the people pay for these homes. All right, as we look here, week 44, 30% cash, almost a third cash, up from the last couple of weeks. All right, 41% conventional, stayed about the same. FHA dropped 13%. VA 14%, up a little bit, and others are 2%. And I will say, out of those others, I saw 3 that were assumable mortgages. So they did assume what other people had left on another. Now what happens is with those assumables, they can vary in the amount that's left over, you know, and then you just got to get a separate note on the remainder to pay for the full price of the house. Okay, let's look at the foreclosures. All right, there we are. Foreclosures, these are active listings. The ones that are in foreclosure status, 277, that's up from 257 last week. Pre-foreclosures dropped 1 to 17. Short sales stayed the same at 30. Overall, 314, so that is still a continuing rise that we're seeing all these weekend foreclosures. And that brings me to this headline. Florida homeowners are losing their homes, according to Newsweek. All right, let's look into it. Okay, Florida has registered one of the highest rates of home foreclosure filings in the nation, Adam said. Now, Adam is a company that does a lot of real estate research, and they do price evaluations and stuff, kind of like your Zillow's estimate, things like that, but they do it a different way. The real estate data analysis firm reported that 1 in every 2,632 housing units in Florida had a foreclosure filing in February. Okay, it says here in 28 states, the number of completed foreclosures fell 14% from January, 11% from the year before. Okay, then it goes on to list the states that had the declines, but Florida went up. Here it says 2 cities in Florida that had the highest rates of foreclosures for areas with populations of at least 1 million people. Orlando with 1 out of 1,938, so that's high. And Miami with 1 out of 2,392. All right, so we at least see this headline is going along with my weekly charts, you know, what we're seeing here. All right, let's go back and look at the rest of these numbers in the Excel spreadsheet. Okay, the next thing I look at here are homes that sold under list, at list, above list, but we start off with homes that sold $500,000 and above, 29%, okay? So that is an increase from last week. Now this is a percentage of the homes that sold under list, 72, 16 sold at list, and that above was 12, and those are the exact same numbers as last week. Sometimes it does this, okay? And that's strange, okay? Now those aren't the numbers of the homes, that's just the percentage, okay? So that's why we end up with sometimes the same percentage. All right, next I look at the price categories to see the percentages, all right? Here we've got, of course, the 500 above was 29. Homes that sold in the 400 range, 13. Homes that sold in the 300 range, 27%. Homes that sold in the 200 range, 19%. And 12% of all the homes sold below 200,000. All right, so where did we see the biggest differences? Okay, right there at the top. Homes that sold for 500, an increase of 6%, which is pretty large. And then the homes that sold in the 200s dropped, okay, dropped their 5%. All right, so we saw the biggest difference there. Next, I look at the new construction homes. Okay, 60% of those homes sold under list. That's a drop from last week. Homes that sold at list up to 20%. Homes that sold above list, 18%, almost the same. All right, this 20%, okay, this rise in homes that sold at list, what we don't see is, okay, you know, were they priced like that? I doubt it. I think what it's more of is incentives that these people paid the list price. In exchange, they've got like a really good interest rate with these buy downs. Or they got closing costs paid. And I know some of them had some really good deals, you know, with the closing cost and with those buy downs. So that probably influenced that. All right, the next thing up is MLS Advantage, and what this is, if you're new to the program, in this area up here in Northeast Florida, there's like 9 counties, okay? And Northeast Florida MLS is the biggest, mainly Jacksonville and a lot around it. But there's these other smaller boards, okay, around some of these other counties. And they cross-sell into Jacksonville and vice versa. I cross-sell into theirs. So that doesn't get picked up in this regular MLS, the Northeast Florida MLS chart, if somebody is in a different MLS and lists the property or sells it in there. So I show the MLS Advantage, which includes these 9 counties, and then I also go one step further, and when I do the chart in the spreadsheet, I break it down by county so we can look at the sales and compare the sales, because people wanted that. They wanted to look at, say, for instance, St. Johns County. They wanted to look at, you know, Flagler County or Clay County, something like that, or Duval County, and see, you know, St. John's has St. Augustine, has Nocatee, has, you know, the one on the river there. I can't think of the name right now. But then also Flagler has Palm Coast. All right, so let's look at the MLS Advantage. Okay, here we are in MLS Advantage, and then we go down to the 9 counties: Baker, Union, Bradford, Clay, Nassau, Duval, St. John's, Flagler, and Putnam. So what we'll do is we'll hit that search button and then watch the wheel spin and see what the number is. 676 properties. All right, next we go into the chart here and we see where I got it breaking down by counties. 4 this week, 4 for Baker. They stayed the same. Union had a goose egg. Bradford dropped to just 1. Clay dropped a little bit to 70. Nassau actually increased, okay? A pretty good increase when you figure from 51 to 93. That was a pretty good one. So they're the heroes this week. Duval, 244. St. John's, 157. 91 for Flagler, and Putnam had, you know, less than half of what they were, okay, at 37 there. So you see the other columns where they are. Now this spreadsheet, you know, I'll tell you, because I got a lot of new people here, all the way from, you know, this, whatever, all these spreadsheets that I use, all that stuff and everything goes way back, and that is available to download from my weekly newsletter. If you want to subscribe to that, you just send me an email at this email right here, say you want to be put on the list, and you will start receiving it on Tuesdays, and you can download the same Excel spreadsheet that I use on the show. Also, there will be available to download the MLS sheets for the houses of the week. Plus, there is more information than what I cover on the show in that newsletter, okay? So a lot of people have subscribed to it, so if you're interested, then go ahead. Hey, you know what? If you like the way I present this show, I'm not talking about if you like the numbers. I know a lot of people don't like the numbers they see. That's not me. But if you like the way I put the show together for you and everything, then give me a thumbs up. Just hit that thumbs up button right now while you're watching this. Just click it. And then if you like to be part of Bubba Watch Nation, just hit the subscribe button and subscribe to this channel, because there's a lot more than just Bubba Watch when you look at the channel. And then, like I said, now I do the condo version, you know, on Monday nights. But I got other things going on too, which is a lot of good information if you're moving to Florida. Or if you're within Florida already, like South Florida, and moving to North Florida, I got a lot of good information for this area. All right, so now let's get to the question of the week, and these questions are questions that people ask me. And then when someone asks me a question during the week or something like that, then I bring it on the show. If no one asks me anything, then I won't have a question of the week. All right, but this one came from a seller. Buyer put down a binder deposit. Now, when they put down the binder deposit, it is held in escrow either by a title company, an attorney's office, whoever the closing office is, or some brokers actually hold the escrow. Okay? And now, what happens is they just keep it there so that when the property closes, then the money's given back. Okay, you know, as a credit. Now, what happens is, usually this is in finance deals, and this is what happened here. The people were not able to get their financing, and the lender kept dragging on and extending the closing. Well, what happened was, in the contract, and most of the contracts are like this, some contracts are different, but pretty much they're kind of the same. They have a date when you have to have the loan approval by. Usually it defaults to 30 days. Okay, if you go past that 30 days and you don't put in an extension, okay, the buyer is out of the contract with that. And if they don't get their financing, you will lose your binder deposit, or you can. Okay, now in this case, all right, what happened? The seller goes, well, do I get it all back? And that's another question. Now with me, when my customers, when they list a home with me, if something like that happens and they are entitled to all that, they get all that deposit back to them. I don't keep any of it. For the broker doesn't keep it, you know, for marketing and advertising stuff. We just, that's a wash with us. But I do give it back to my customers. Okay, not all contracts are written that way though, so you have to see how it is. I know everyone thinks they got a good realtor, but you know, whatever. Well, so, but what happens is, like in this case, it's not that simple to just turn it over, because to turn over the deposit back, both parties have to sign this cancellation form. All right, if one of them doesn't, then it has to go through another process to determine who gets that, and there could be fees involved in that. So it depends on how much that deposit is. If that binder deposit's $10,000-15,000, then the seller, it's worth going through the process to get it back to them if they rightfully own it. If it's like $1,000 or something like it was in this case, I says, listen, let's just put it back on the market, you get it sold. Otherwise, you may delay, you know, getting your house sold for another 30 days or more, depending on how long the process takes. Okay, so that's how that is. All right, now let's sit there and let's look at, we're going to look at the houses of the week. And speaking of which, you know, also like that, if you are moving from out of state or something, relocating to Northeast Florida or up here to Jacksonville Metro, any of that, or from South Florida, Orlando, or Tampa up to this area, and you would like to use me for your services to buy or sell a house in this area, then just give me a call at this phone number you see on the screen, and you can text me or call me, or, you know, shoot me an email here also, you know, and then I'll meet with you in person, either, you know, in the office or out there at the site. You know, we'll put it together, you know, after we have a quick phone call. All right, now let's do the houses of the week. Okay, we're going to start off here with the house that sold below list price. Okay, this one here is built in 2001, 3,335 square feet, good size house. Okay, Flagler County. Okay, probably over in Palm Coast there. Yes, it is. It is in the Palm Coast area. I see the Bellaterra and the Indian Trails and Matanzas for the schools. 5 bedroom, 3 bath. Okay, let's take a look at the history. This house went on the market for $675,000, okay, which they thought was a fair asking price, but others did not. They had open houses, as you can see, several open houses here, didn't get a bite, started lowering the price, okay, gradually ending up lowering the price down to like around I guess it was yeah, the price changed to 610. So when they lowered that price down to 610, then they got an offer for 610, and that's what it sold for. It was on the market for 94 days before they got that offer. Okay, now what did they pay for this house? Okay, these people here, I mean, took a beating. All right, I mean, they had to get out of it. All right, I guess. They bought it back in March of 2023 last year, $652,500, and ended up selling it for $610,000. Okay, which was $65,000 below. Okay, but you know what? Let's look down here. Here's their mortgage, the history there. They had a loan on it for $522,000, and it could have been less than that over the year here that they paid. So they sold it for the $610 minus all the fees, commissions, stuff like that. They still were okay, you know, but they did lose the money that they had put into it because they had to get out of the house quickly. All right, and what's worse on this one, they gave $7,500 in concessions on top of that towards closing cost and prepays. All right, All right, let's take a look at the house that sold above. Okay, this house here, built in 1999, 1,919 square feet in Duval County, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, okay? Now, this house here ended up in a multiple offer situation where they required highest and best, okay, rather quickly by noon, okay, on a certain day. I don't see what the day is right now, but it was 2 days on the market. So let's see what the history of that one. Okay, they started off $474,900, okay, on that house. They had an open house, okay, right away, okay. So what they ended up doing, probably what happened, okay, as you can see, you know, they kept that same price there, but it was only on the market 2 days, okay, before they took an offer for $510,500, which was $35,600 above. Okay, this is one of those deals that, and this, I'm seeing more of this, okay, with these homes. They price it under the market, you know, value somewhat, throw an open house or something right away, get all those people. Now when people see that price, saying, oh, you know, a lot of people don't realize, you know, what's going to happen, okay? They just see that lower price tag. Oh man, look, this is a deal. I saw it first on Zillow. You know, let's go to the open house, you know, they're going to have, you know, this weekend. Well, that happened to be the first day of the listing. They purposely put it below market. You'll end up having to take a number to get inside the house to see the house. Okay, that's what happens. So now they've got this frenzy of people. They see all the people and they say, okay, you know, say they started the open house on a Thursday. They say by Saturday at noon, we want your best offer. They're not negotiating. Okay, now they can if they want, but a lot of times they say, when they say highest and best, they're not going back and forth, but sometimes they do. Seller can do whatever they want. All right. That drives the price up. This is what brings, like, those numbers that I look at where I show the percentage of homes that sold above list. This is where some of them come from, by people using this tactic. All right, let's see what these people paid for it. Okay, these people bought this house 2019, back when houses were priced what they were supposed to be, $277,500. And they sold it for $510,550. Holy crap. Okay, let's look at the appreciation calculator on this one. All right, here we look at it. They had it for, you know, 5 years, 12.89%. Oh my gosh. And just think, okay, and people really wanted this house because it turned into multiple offers. So I mean, this is the point, okay? Everyone's saying, like, okay, we had that rise in 2021, but then everything started coming down. Everything's down, you know, prices are coming down now, you know, this is the market, just hold off and wait. But look what's happening. You still, this is what's keeping that, you know, when I see that price per square foot just staying the same like that, this is the stuff that's keeping it like that. You still got people coming in, buying, and willing to pay that. And even with, it's not just these interest rates and these prices of the homes. It's the insurance and the taxes too they're willing to pay. The buyers control the market. I don't care how you feel about it, they control the market, okay? The buyers control everything, okay? Because if they're not going to pay it, then the price has to come down. But if they're willing to pay it and they're in a gang, you know, bidding on this thing, then the price is going to go up. That's just the way it is. That's the market. And you've got to decide for yourself, okay? What's your situation? Is it something that you have to move? You want to move? You see something you like? How long are you going to stay there? Is it something short term? Is it you're going to be your forever home? Something like that. See, those all go into factors on whether it's worth it or not, you know, to buy now. And then at these prices, because I'm telling you, when the interest rates come down, prices will go. I mean, it's just the supply and demand thing. You know, when the more people get in the market, are we going to have another frenzy? We don't know, because everything's so screwed up. But you got to make this decision for yourself. Hey, you know what? This is 44, week 44. It's in the can. And you know what? Until week 4, well, actually not week 45. I'll see you all on Monday night on Condo Edition. But until then, I'm out of here.